What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Rolling Over 40. My guest today is Mr. Blas Carrasco. Blas is a brown belt who instructs jiu-jitsu at a gym in Fort Worth, Texas called Sloth BJJ. He has been in the field of self-defense, Muay Thai, and martial arts in general for almost 30 years. And we get into all things self-defense, Muay Thai, BJJ, and more. So please enjoy the show. Okay, so you've been on, when I Googled your name just to kind of see what I could remember about you and what else I could find out, I saw your little picture on the Sloth BJJ or whatever it's called that you work at. And then it, as I'm looking, it's like your name popped up for a podcast. And I was like, oh, he's already done this. So he knows the deal. And then I listened to that one with Legends and Dragons. I don't know if you've done, I don't know what other ones you've done, but yeah, I listened to them and and the BJJ stuff you guys talked about. And but what other podcasts have you done?
Oh, I've been on the California Liberty podcast or California Liberty Project podcast. It's a friend of mine in Bakersfield does that podcast. So yeah, I was on there I think 2 or 3 times.
Hold on, that's another weird connection, dude. Because when you met me, I lived in Bakersfield. I lived there for 5 years. And now I live in SoCal. So what is the California Liberty Project? What's the theme of that podcast?
Yeah, so my friend Greg Gordon, he's a geologist. So he's a geologist out there in California, and I can't remember who he works for. And he's like my resident scientist friend. You know, if anything Earth related, I just kind of ask him. But he does this podcast, and he's like a political activist as well, you know.
Oh, okay.
And so we talked, he asked me if I'd be willing to talk shop with him on some books that we both have read. And I said, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not like a political guy, like in terms of, I'm not an activist or whatever, but yeah, it interests me. So we have these discussions about, anarcho-capitalism and libertarianism and a bunch of other topics, you know. So that's what that was about.
Okay. And no BJJ, no jiu-jitsu or martial arts on that one?
Not on that one, I don't think. I mean, he would just give an intro of who I was, and of course that always slips in there. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. And then on the Legends and Dragons one, you guys talked about jiu-jitsu and martial arts as well. And was there another podcast you've done where you've talked about jiu-jitsu, martial arts, anything like that?
Gosh, has there been another one? I don't think so.
Hard to keep track with all the podcasts you've been doing.
I don't think so.
Guy.
Yeah, I think I was on another one, but it was more related to music. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that's what I remember about you. Is music, because part of the reason I remember that is because you told me that I look like Perry Farrell when you met me.
Well, you've aged way better than Perry Farrell. I can tell you that.
I sure hope so. But it's funny because I'm not that much into music. So when you said Perry Farrell at the time, I'm like, all I could think of was the music video of Ben Caught Stealing with him wearing freaking pantyhose over his head and just like. Yeah. So when you said that, I'm like, I look like that. Jesus. And it was just like, but then you clarified, you're like, no, not like the crackhead strung out Perry Farrell or that. You were like, no, just kind of like Perry Farrell.
Yeah.
You told me that I look like a politician as well, or that I sound like a politician as well.
Yeah, you do have the politician's voice.
I've been told that.
Yeah, you have a good podcasting voice. I'll say
man.
That much. Yeah.
It isn't doing anything for my listeners or my viewers. You know, I mean, hey man, get ready because this might be listened to by as many as like 30 people. So
yeah,
watch out.
Nice. Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, it takes a lot more than a podcast voice to get listeners, but I'm not really going for that anyway. This is all just for fun. Ain't giving up my day job anytime soon. But speaking of day jobs, so you just started a band. So are you going to be quitting your day job anytime soon to like go on tour and record deals?
No.
And all that?
No. So I wanted to start this honestly because I really missed it. And just, I've always been a creative, for a lack of a better term, being in the visual arts, having played bass since I was 18, and then, martial arts since I was about 19. So I see the martial arts definitely as a creative expression as well. So these things always attracted me, and I was just really missing being in a band again. I think for my own mental health, I needed it. And so one of my dearest and best friends lives 12 minutes from me. And we started jamming, and like, dude, let's do this thing. And it's been awesome. And I kind of use, there's a lot of cross kind of philosophy, I guess, or like how I approach martial arts. I approach music in the same fashion, and we can get into that later, but it's been a lot of fun. And you know, we've got 4 songs. We're playing a gig on the 17th of January, and should be fun. We'll hit the studio probably in March, so we can actually have a full album.
Yeah.
And promote that accordingly.
So you've been in bands before? You've been in bands before?
Yeah. So the first band I was in was called Blind Side, and this was like, gosh, I don't know. I guess I was 18 at the time.
Okay.
And then the guitar player, one of the guitar players from there, ended up, you know, getting married and moving on, and that was awesome for him. We were very happy for him. So then we took the members from Blindside and merged them with the other guitar player's younger brother's band. And so we formulated a different band. And I hate the name of that band, but you know, it's yeah.
Are you going to tell us the name of that band?
I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's called Sherburne, like Colonel Sherburne from Huckleberry Finn, but it's with a different spelling. It's like Sure, S-U-R-E, Burn,
B-U-R-N.
one word. Yeah, one word.
Okay. Why do you hate that name so much?
Because every time it's like, gosh, it's like Sherburne. What, you guys got gonorrhea or what? You know, I heard it all, you know. Or we'd say, yeah, our band's name is Sherburne. They're like, Sherbert, like the ice cream, and I'm like,
I'll be honest, that's what I thought you said was Sherbert, like the ice cream. So no matter what, somebody gets it wrong. They either get the meaning wrong or the pronunciation wrong, and it's like, ugh, yeah.
Yeah, it's either we're going for dessert or we've got an STD. Well, you know what I mean? I'm like, you just can't win with that name. It's horrible. No. And you know, we wrote some good songs, you know, like we had, I wouldn't say they're great songs by any means, but there's some solid songs in there and some good riffs. We were just talking about this recently with some other friends of mine that, you know, we weren't particularly great at arrangements, you know, but overall, I'm still, you know, pretty proud of it. I mean, you can even find it on Spotify. Like, we don't even know who put it up there. Like, someone reached out to my buddy Chad, and they're like, "Hey, would you mind if we put this on Spotify?" And we're just like, "We don't give a damn. Do what you want with it. You know, go make 0.8 pennies off of the thing if you want."
Right.
And so, hey, it's up there. I can listen to it when I want. I have no idea who's behind that account, but yeah, it's there.
What's the name of your current band?
Yet Unwritten.
Wait, that's the name, or you haven't gotten a name yet?
That's the name.
Okay.
That's the name. Yeah, that's the name.
That's going to draw more questions like the other ones. So
yeah, it will. And now I was also in a kind of the founding member of another band that's still active. They're called Last of the Sane.
Okay.
And so they still play. In fact, the current guitar player and drummer in my band are in that band.
I see.
Yeah, so and so yeah, I mean it's all kind of interconnected somehow. We all know each other.
What kind of music is it? How would you describe your music?
Well, if I had to use bands that people recognized, like more mainstream bands, I would probably say if you took like Black Sabbath and Tool and maybe like Mastodon, maybe, and like they all had a child.
I see. All
so
right.
it's kind of like it's pretty atmospheric, sludgy doom metal.
I see. I know the first two. I don't know Mastodon. I don't know music very well, but I know the first two.
And we have a female vocalist, so I always wanted to work with a female vocalist, and so instead of there being a lot of screaming, it's more melodic singing.
Okay.
With a hint of aggressive vocals for sure.
Okay.
And we didn't even know it until we started playing. she plays keyboards, and she's quite good. She's a very good musician. So we're like, hey, why don't we throw some keyboards into this whole mix of heavy guitars and doom, whatever, and it's working out. It's kind of cool. So that's what it is.
Nice, man. So this is a recent addition to your life. You said you've only been doing this a couple months, but it sounds like music is quite a passion for you. So it's been a good addition to your life lately. Yeah.
Yes, definitely so.
Great. And let's see, what else were we talking about before the break? Just because my sister's a big listener, I do have to give a shout out to my sister. And yeah, I don't remember that at all, that you remember her by name, and you went to UNT when she went to UNT. So this was probably 20 years ago.
Last name. Yeah, I remembered the last name. I was like,
right.
Waylon, is it possible that,
Yeah.
And because I would see her sculptures.
Okay.
And I always tried to go and see shows or whatever that the students were putting stuff on. And like I said, I would say stuff to her in passing, and I probably talked more with the other guy that was there at the time. But I remember seeing this enormous, like, wooden sculpture. And of course, I'm like, I guess you would describe her work back then as very, I don't know, like strong feminine, maybe, or like,
yeah.
I don't want to say like vaginal or whatever, because it wasn't, but I mean, maybe someone
to use a Lebowski reference,
Yeah. So, but I always thought her sculptures were amazing, the craftsmanship, because that's a skill I always wanted to have even back then, and I just was like, nah, I'm already into this game. I don't want to change and do something new. So, but I always remembered the name, and she was always in the wood shop, and me and some other friends were always back there. And while she was doing her thing, and people she was associating with at that time were doing their thing, yeah, you always just kind of cross paths. And I was making wooden frames for canvases. Like, instead of buying the canvases, we had to make all of our canvases. So that's why I was even in there in the first place. Yeah.
And is that where did you end up getting a degree from UNT?
I did. I was a drawing and painting major. So I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in drawing and painting, which almost is silly to me now, because I'm like, wow, I paid a lot of money to learn how to play with colors, but, and then, whatever your minor is, I don't even know what it was in, sociology or something like that. But yeah, so that's my college background.
So let's get to martial arts, because I'm obviously, that's the theme of this podcast, and I'm super curious about that. And so that was, let's say, what year was that you got your degree? 05, 06?
I graduated in 2002.
02. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was that then. Oh, that's right. I'm trying to remember when she went to UNT. That's right. So then, was it soon after that? And is your main source of is your main job coaching? Like,
it is. So I coach at Sloth BJJ, which is one of the things you saw online, and then I have a lot lot clients. So I teach like
private clients in jiu-jitsu or in MMA, Muay Thai.
Jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, more self-defense stuff. I have a student who's been with me for quite a while, who takes like edged weapon stuff, like stick and knife fighting, like more of the Filipino stuff. And then I have a couple of families that train with me as well. So yeah, I stay busy with private clients as well. Yeah.
Great. And did that start soon after you graduated from UNT? Like, how did it all, was it like after
together?
that you're like, should I be an artist, or should I be, should I get into the martial arts?
Sure. So I started training in the martial arts in 97, I think.
Okay.
And
you were how old at the time? In 97.
97.
I was 18.
Probably. Let's see, 97. I think I was 19, almost 20.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think I started when I was like a few months before I turned 20, if I'm doing my math correct. So, and So we trained in like a mixed kind of system. So at the time, MMA wasn't even a term.
Right.
You know, you had Vale Tudo was a term that
Yep.
you heard that was coming out of Brazil. NHB, no holds barred fighting. That was a term that was floating around back then. I'm not even sure that Pride Championships was even a thing at the time. Maybe it was, but Pancrase was really big.
I don't know that one. I don't know
During that
Pancrase.
time. Yeah, Pancrase is where Ken Shamrock and Boss Rutan, those guys got their start.
Okay.
And it was an organization in Japan. And I loved the Pancrase stuff. That got me hooked. And so where we trained at a school that did kind of a mixed based approach to things. Kind of like Jeet Kune Do, except instead of Wing Chun being the base, you know, ours was like more catch as catch can, submission wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, and Kung Fu Sansu. And so that was, I would say that's kind of what formulated my foundation of combat, you know, fighting skill. And then in 2002, when I graduated, I bought a one-way ticket to Thailand.
No kidding. Wow. That's awesome.
Specifically to train in Muay Thai. And when I got back, because I was in Thailand, I think for about 6 months, when I got back, I just kind of fell into coaching. I wasn't even looking to be a coach or anything. And my original instructor asked if I would be willing to start his Muay Thai program. And that was my first, you know, at bat, so to speak, at being a coach. You know, I didn't know how to coach, but I figured, yeah, I'll do it. And then I fell in love with it. So I guess I was, 25, I think, when I started coaching.
Okay. Let's hear more about that one-way ticket to Thailand, because that's another slight connection, because I taught English in Korea for a year, and then when I finished, I bought a one-way ticket to Thailand.
Okay.
For the purpose of practicing Muay Thai. No, I'm just kidding about that one. But just to have an adventure, and then I ended up traveling through Asia for like 6 months. But
oh wow!
But you bought a one-way. Now, did you have a plan? All right. I mean, was it just a loose plan, or did you have I'm going to go to this gym or this instructor, or you just bought the ticket?
I had a loose plan. So in 2001, I think it was at the beginning of 2001. I had this crazy idea. I was like, I think I'm gonna ride my bike to like Southern California and go train with Hickson Gracie and see if he'll take me in as a student. I don't know. I'm full of silly ideas. And so then I started thinking, because I worked at REI at the time, and I was like looking at like road bikes and touring bikes. Could I really do this? You know, ride however long that is.
Yeah.
And just make an adventure out of, I'll get there when I get there. And then the more I thought about it, I go, who am I kidding, man? I am one of the laziest guys ever. I'm not going to ride a bike all the way to California. And
it's a long ride.
I said, well, maybe I'll just go out there anyways. And around that time, had been training Muay Thai for a little bit. And I sucked really bad at Muay Thai in the beginning. Like when I first started, I was so bad at it. My shins hurt all the time. I was a big pansy about it. And I was actually more of a natural grappler, like when I first started martial arts.
But I mean, doesn't everybody suck at the beginning, or you sucked worse than the average?
I felt like I just sucked worse than the average guy, you know? And so if I was comparing it like jiu-jitsu to Muay Thai or grappling at the time, and Muay Thai, I was like, man, I'm way better at grappling. Maybe I should just focus on this Muay Thai thing. So then I started doing that and started getting really into it. So then my plan changed. I was like, well, maybe I'll just go to Thailand instead of California. You know, because California is close. I can always go to California whenever I want, but I don't know when the next time I'll ever get to go halfway around the world to Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I ended up selling my bass rig. I had like a really nice bass rig, like from when I was in the band. And I ended up quitting that first band, or the ice cream band, we'll call it. Sure.
Right. The STD band.
I ended up quitting that band, I think at the end of 2001. And I sold my bass rig. And that's what funded my my trip over there and funded part of my expenses.
When you say bass rig, I don't know that term.
Oh,
You just mean
I'm sorry.
the bass,
But
the bass
the amp,
guitar and the
no,
amp.
I still have my bass guitar, my original one, but I sold the amp and I had these two big speaker cabinets.
Okay,
I had one was like a 410 cabinet, another one was like a 212 cabinet, and it was a high end, what people would call now as a boutique amplification system.
I
So
see.
it was quite expensive. So it actually funded my trip to Thailand.
Great. So so
And
that was all worth a couple grand at least, I take it, right? Something like that.
I think I ended up getting about 3,800 for it,
Great. All right.
and then I had
So,
money saved up,
sure. So then you
on
bought
top
your
of
ticket
that.
to Thailand, which is crazy, awesome, but crazy. And
So
then, yeah, go ahead.
I'll take a step back though. But prior to getting the ticket and deciding to go, my Muay Thai instructor in the States had a close friend of his was visiting from Bangkok,
I see.
and he was helping coach and stuff. And I told him I was thinking about going. So he asked his friend, he's like, hey, Blas wants to go to Thailand. Do you mind taking him in and taking care of him when he's out there? He's like, oh yeah. And in his best English, because it was quite broken English, he said, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll take care of you when you go to Thailand. You can stay with me and my family. And that was
Perfect.
yeah, it worked out great. And I had no idea who this guy was, by the way. Like, I just knew that he was great at coaching Muay Thai. That's all I knew about him. So I get there, right? I get there. It's like May 12th, I think. And I've got my bags and stuff. And I get out of the plane and I'm walking down what do they call it? The tarmac or whatever, like the little tunnel that takes you from the plane to the airport. I'm walking into that thing and it is the worst humid heat I have ever felt in my life. And I started second guessing myself. I was like, man, did I make the right decision here? This is crazy. And
For context, though, I mean, you were born in San Antonio and you lived in like Dallas, Fort Worth area pretty much your
right.
whole life until that. And that I would call where you live, that area, extremely humid. I would call it that. So, but I mean, I've been to Thailand as well. It's pretty humid over there. So for you to go from Dallas and then get to Thailand and say, I can't handle this humidity, that's saying a lot about the humidity of Thailand.
Yeah, it was horrible at the time. And so anyways, I get out. It's like, it's my first time really being out of the country, actually. No, my second time. My second time being out of the country. And I'm like, where do I go? And everybody's hitting me up. All the taxi drivers are hitting me up. You want to go there? You want to go there? I was like, no. And I finally see my coach. He flags me down. And so we go into his car. And I get into his car. And so it's him, me, his babysitter and nanny, his daughter, who was really little, two friends, and we all cram into this like tiny
ass car, I'm sure.
Tiny car, man. It was like, I felt like a clown car,
Yeah.
And so that was it, and like I landed and I was jet lagged and tired. And then he looks at me, he says, okay, we're going to go drop everybody off and then we're going to go and train. I was like, dude, are you kidding me?
Wow.
So
He wasn't, but I mean, that's what you went there for, right? You
Yeah.
probably just didn't expect it to happen right then.
Yeah, and that was it. So we spent a month in in Bangkok, and then about 5 months in Koh Samui, because we ended up going there, and I helped him open a little Thai camp there.
You helped him open a Muay Thai camp on Koh Samui?
Yeah, because I was the only one who really spoke good English, so I was kind of helping him a little bit, like talk to tourists and stuff, and I just helped put things together a little bit. It was pretty cool experience.
That is awesome. So, I mean, that's super adventurous too. I mean, you went to Thailand, you got picked up by a guy you barely knew, and then you ended up traveling to another part of the country. I've been to Koh Samui as well, and helped him open a Muay Thai gym. And did it do well? Like in those few months you were there?
It was doing okay. It's not there anymore. I think someone else took over because he went back. He ended up going back to Bangkok, I think, a couple of years after I had left. But yeah, I think it was doing okay. We had quite a few, phalangs coming in there, and
A few what?
phalang, like
Foreigners?
foreigners,
Okay.
yeah. And yeah, so it was cool. Now, going back to what I said earlier, how I didn't really know who he was.
Yeah.
The first couple of weeks, I noticed, man, like people are treating us like royalty or something. People kept asking me like, so there's another famous fighter that the Thais really respected, and his name is Raymond Deckers.
Okay.
He was from he's Dutch. He's a Dutch Muay Thai fighter, and so anytime at that time, I guess a foreigner would come through, specifically to train in Muay Thai, people would come up to me and they'd say, "Oh, are you same Raymond Deckers?" It's like, "Oh, you same Raymond Deckers." I'm like, "No, I'm not the same as him. I'm just a normal guy."
Wait,
Trying
meaning
to
are
train.
you him or meaning are you?
Meaning, am I a professional fighter there to like,
Yeah.
And so like, no,
I didn't
I'm
know if
not.
they meant like, are you him? Like, are
No,
you
no,
actually
no,
the guy? Okay, okay. So are
no.
you? They meant like, are you gonna be a pro like him?
Like him, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Are you going to be a pro like him? So I said, no, no. And so I was thinking, why are they coming up to us all the time and treating us so nicely? Well, come to find out, my coach is actually really famous over there.
Oh,
He's like considered one of the best Muay Thai fighters to come out of the golden era, which is like in the late '80s, mid to late '80s, early '90s. He's like a three-time Lumpini champion there, and everybody knows him. And I had no idea. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like, uh, and one of the people that we were with, she was married. She's from Australia, but she was married to another Thai trainer there. And we were just kind of hanging out. She's like, "Blas, do you know who your coach is exactly?" I go, "I mean, I know his name and stuff,
Yeah,
obviously,
right.
but I don't really." And she started telling me, she's like,
Okay.
"Dude, you're being coached and like you're living with like a living legend right now." And so I
Wow.
started like learning more and finding out more, and I was like, "Oh man, this is like a big deal." So, anyways,
Yeah,
that's that.
and great though because you went there for that reason, and now you find out this. Of all the people you could learn from, this is definitely
Yeah,
someone who's at the top of the list of people, pretty much in
yeah,
the world at that time, which is that's pretty cool.
yeah. And really, he taught me. He actually taught me a lot about coaching. I get like how to teach Muay Thai,
Uh
and
huh.
he kind of really was crafting or like building me to be like a trainer slash coach, I guess. And I think he realized that I was kind of too old for fighting. Like
All 20 something of you, like
yeah,
25
I
or
was
whatever you were.
25. Yeah,
Right.
because over there, I mean, back then, anyways, Muay Thai guys would stop fighting usually around 19. That they would retire because they
Jeez.
start so
Okay.
young. And so he used to make jokes about me all the time. He'd touch my legs and my shins and he said I would have baby legs. He said, "No, you got baby leg." He goes, too soft, no fight, no fight." So he said basically he's like, "Take too long for you to get tough." So,
Wow. So is
but
it
he still taught me and stuff.
right? So I mean, is it unusual? Or at least, was it unusual at the time for someone not just as old as you, not just to want to learn it, but yeah, just to want to learn Muay Thai? Like, I take it most of the students over there then are in their teens, like early teens, or do they have like
So all of the younger fighters, the ones that are Thai, I mean, they start them very young over
uh-huh.
there. And when I say young, I mean like 7, 8 years old. You know what I mean? And I would say that it was a little less common for foreigners to do, I guess, what I was doing at that time, just go over there and with that specific purpose. I mean, you still saw foreign people over there, tourists coming through and training and everything. But nowadays, that's very common. People go over there and they stay for
Mm-hmm.
years,
Mm-hmm.
and they train. But
Mm-hmm.
that really wasn't happening to that scale in the early 2000s.
Right.
At least I didn't see it happening, around me.
Right.
I went to a lot of Muay Thai camps and a lot of
Yeah.
gyms, And rarely would I run into a foreigner unless I was in the islands. Then I would see, tourists in there, wanting to experience Muay Thai. And, they would either be there just for their trip, the duration of their trip, or they were expats. And that's just one of the things they did. Yeah.
Right, but the age thing, it's reminding me now because I went to Thailand. I've been there twice. But the time I told you about when I bought the one-way ticket, I spent 6 weeks there maybe, and Koh Samui was like a week of that. And yeah, it was one of my first nights in Thailand where me and a bunch of the other foreigners that I had just met who were traveling, we were like, oh, somebody heard there was a Muay Thai fight match. So let's take a taxi and go watch it. And yeah, one thing that stood out to all of us was how young all these fighters looked in this public arena where people were like betting on the fights and everything. And I mean, we're like, are we crazy, or do some of these kids look like they're 15 and they're just beating the hell out of each other? We saw, I remember, I will never forget, we saw a tooth fly out at one point, just a tooth. Here it comes, just flying through. And we were just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And the age thing really stuck out to me though. So that's normal over there though, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's normal. And the kids at the time, it was more common at that time for the kids to want to be there because they would see their fighters on TV and the local TV stations, and they wanted to be like their heroes, And some of these families and children would look at Muay Thai as a way out of poverty. So they would take a lot of the winnings from their bouts, and some of it would go to the camp, of course, and some of it would go back to the families in their villages. If the kids were older, right? Like I say older, they lived there at the camp.
Older, like 15 or 16?
If they were little, obviously they would just, be brought to the camps. Now, I will say all of the camps that I went to, I saw quite a few in Bangkok and then quite a few in Koh Samui. It was still required. All those kids still had to go get their education. They still had to go to school. They still had to go to, secondary school, elementary school, whatever. And then, the fighting thing was just another thing they did.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Muay Thai. Then you come back. When did jiu-jitsu enter the game? When did it become a thing for you? Because you came back from that, and then it was Muay Thai coaching mainly, right?
Right.
And when did jiu-jitsu enter the mix?
So even though I had been grappling since '97, I hadn't put on a gi or done jiu-jitsu specifically until 2004.
Okay.
So I started in 2004 doing officially the art of Brazilian jiu-jitsu at that time, and started with a gentleman named JD Shelley, who's still currently coaching in the area. I'm not currently training with him. I haven't trained with him in many, many, many years, but he's still a heck of a guy. I still see him periodically. And that's what got me into jiu-jitsu. And then I moved to Fort Worth because he was in Dallas. He was in North Dallas. And then I moved to Fort Worth and then kept on training. Eventually got, my blue belt, and then got my purple belt in 2012. And then I was a purple belt, man, for like forever. Like I'm one of those guys. I've just been doing it. I'm a brown belt still, all these years later.
Well, why were you a purple belt forever? Like, why is it?
I was a purple belt forever,
or,
because I started my own gym when I was a blue belt.
Right.
In 2008, I believe is when I started it. And then for the entire duration that I had my business, I just kind of had, inconsistency in terms of a black belt instructor, right? Leading my adult programs. Because I was very heavily focused more on children's programming. Because that was easier to honestly, it was easier to make money that way. When you have a big kids program, And so I taught the kids program, and then I would periodically go out and train for myself, but I was never at any one spot for long enough or under somebody for long enough to earn a rank from them, legitimately.
Right.
And then on top of being a business owner and all that, you just kind of go through these ebbs and flows of motivation. So it was a consistency thing as well, over the course of, like, since I guess 2012 when I got my purple belt up to, we'll say 2021, I was pretty inconsistent, especially when I moved from Texas out to Arizona, because I sold my school right before COVID.
Okay.
And so that's why I was a purple belt for so long. It really had a lot to do with inconsistency and then not being at one particular place long enough, because I was always bouncing around and stuff.
Yeah, so skill-wise, though, when you, all those years, if you're a purple belt for that long and you're bouncing around, skill-wise, I'm sure you were probably more closer to brown belt, or maybe even like...
I was probably closer to a brown, yeah.
Right.
And then, of course, as you get older, things tend to slow down. So it's not like I may have been getting better, especially recently, but I'm like, well, I'm 49 now, and I got my brown belt in October of 2023. And so, yeah, now it's just like you get the aches and pains and the this, that, and the other, and I'm dealing with stuff now, and you just do your best. You just continue to train as safely as you can. And since I've been back in Texas for the past, 4 years or so, I have been significantly more consistent with my training. I have a different kind of fire for it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even teach Muay Thai now in a group setting. I only teach it in private lessons.
Mm-hmm.
But I primarily focus on jiu-jitsu now.
I see.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because when I met you, we met at Rhino's wedding, of course, and shout out Big Rhino. I remember you were at that time you were living in Arizona. I'm pretty sure, because Rhino got married in 2014, I think. Yeah, because my wife was pregnant with our second kid at the time, so it was 2014, summer 2014. I'm pretty sure.
If it was 2014, I was still living in Texas.
Oh, you were, and then you went to Arizona after that.
I moved back to Arizona in 2019, like end of early 2019, or maybe end of 2018. I can't remember. And we went to Arizona just because, and I trained Muay Thai out there for a little bit. I didn't do any jiu-jitsu in Arizona. And then
why is that?
I just didn't. I mean, I found a place to train, but again, it was like right when COVID was like getting ready to happen.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's like I trained for a little bit, found a good school out there, and then COVID happened, and then it's like, oh.
But you went out there for the purpose of opening a school, starting a school, or you got hired to? No, none of those things.
No, none of those things. It was more of a just going on a sabbatical.
Okay.
So my wife really needed to step away from the company she was working for.
Okay.
When we were in Texas.
Yeah.
And it was quite toxic for a long time, and she needed a reset. So she's like, I think we should just sell the gym. And I was like, okay, if that's what we're going to do, let's do it. So we sold the gym, and we sold our house in Fort Worth, and then we just lived.
That's a huge move. You sold the gym that you opened yourself, and that had been yours for however many years.
Yeah, almost 10.
Wow. Okay. And then you guys moved to Arizona. Mm-hmm. And did she get a new job out there?
No, man. We just literally took a hiatus from like being adults. And
that's okay.
And you know what? I'll be honest with you. It was the best thing we could have ever done. It was awesome. We met some really wonderful people out there that are still friends with today. She ended up finding a very good company that she's still employed with now.
Okay.
When we were in Arizona, she finally found a place out there she really liked to work for. And it started as a remote gig. And then they offered her the opportunity to go to North Carolina to open another branch. She said, yeah. And then she comes to me. She's like, hey, what do you think about moving to North Carolina? I said, yeah, I guess. Why should I? Because I just committed ourselves to go to North Carolina. I was like, okay, whatever. Sure, let's do it. And so we went to North Carolina. We were there for just under a year before we came back to Texas. And she still works for the company. She still works remotely.
What does she do? What does she do again? Like
she's, I guess she's like a senior pricing analyst for a company called Axon.
Okay.
And they're the ones who make all the body cams. So if you look at body cam footage,
oh yeah,
like, and you see a little yellow triangle up in the right hand corner, that's the company she works for. So they're the originators of the taser. They do a bunch of different like technology solutions for law enforcement, military, retail. Okay. I mean, whatever.
And this is the same company, like from Arizona to North Carolina, back to Texas. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. But does that mean that there's another move coming any day? You got to be ready to move again?
No, we're done. We're done with that stuff. So we settled in. We settled into North Richland Hills, and the reason why we came back to Texas, honestly, is her dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I was like, you know what? We just need to be closer to family, and and we're happy where we're at, man. We have a nice little house here in North Richland Hills, Texas, and we're close to her family. We're close to my dad, and yeah, I like the setup that we have right now.
And you said North Richland Hills, because I mean I know Dallas, but not well enough to know what you just said. So where the heck is that?
It's basically right smack dab in the middle between Fort Worth and Dallas.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
like
I mean Arlington, like
we're about north of Arlington a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So, so much to unpack there. So, jiu-jitsu. And, okay, one of the things is, and this is kind of good timing right now, because same thing, I'm getting old. I started jiu-jitsu almost 2 years ago exactly right now, right? And I've been wanting to do it for years and years and years, and I remember meeting you and learning some stuff that you talked about, and that kind of got me more interested, but, it took me forever to actually jump in. But anyway, I finally did, and I'm loving it and having a great time. But
awesome.
Like right now, for instance, I'm old. And so injuries keep happening now, every once in a while. Then I've had the classic rib thing, and I've had an arm thing. I've had almost every joint has kept me out for some amount of time at some point in these 2 years. Yeah. Now I'm having this major league like nerve flare up on both of my elbows, which is a freaking age thing. But one cool thing about jiu-jitsu is that it's kind of a more obviously Muay Thai is a lot more intense and high impact than something like jiu-jitsu. So the cool thing is I'm going to go train tonight, and my grips are super weak right now because of this thing going on with my forearms. But I feel like, it's just a good opportunity to work on other parts of my game, If I can't grip tight, then that will absolutely force me to try to do things that are less comfortable for me and that have become less almost routine. Because what's become, a year ago, I never thought I'd get to where I am now. Like I still suck, don't get me wrong. I'm a freaking almost 50-year-old 2-stripe white belt. So, what are you going to, I'm not fantastic at this, but the fact that I'm even threatening certain submissions with regularity now is pretty exciting for me. Obviously, depending on who I go against. I mean, blue belts and high are not much, but I mean, early blue belts and a lot of white belts, I'm very regularly threatening the Kimura, which is pretty cool. But it's getting to the point now where it's like, okay, I really got to stop. Do I need to just stop doing that? Because I don't want to get to the point where I don't know how to do anything else. But then there's another side of me that's like, yeah, but I mean, it's not like you're good at the Kimura. You're just better than you were. So maybe I should just keep threatening that. I don't know. Obviously, this is one of the things I'd love to get your perspective on. So any thoughts in your head so far about someone like me in their mid-40s who's training, brand new? I don't know. What are some thoughts you have?
I always tell guys that are, in our age bracket, and honestly anybody who's starting, who's I would consider a white belt. Well, first thing, while it's on my brain, I'll address the grip thing. So So my grips, my knuckles and stuff, I have arthritis, a little bit, and I can't always grip the gi sometimes, even with after I take my fingers. So I just use no gi grips, even if I'm doing the gi.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's more, you have to be a little bit more intentional about like and mindful, right? That you're using no gi grips.
Okay.
Even when the gi is present, because you're going to want to grab the gi, right? But you do have to bring some intentionality to what you're doing on the mats. And so that would be the first thing I would say to you. If your hands are feeling not so great, just use no gi grips. That's perfectly fine. And you don't need to be grabbing the gi if you don't have to.
So when you say no gi grips, you mean like if I have the option to grab so grab the wrist instead of the gi right here.
Yeah, just grab the wrist.
The ankle instead of the gi.
Yeah,
things like that, right?
Grab behind the elbow, grab the tricep instead of grabbing the gi itself. Do a collar tie instead of grabbing the actual collar. Now, of course, there are just things that you need to grab the gi for, right?
Yeah.
In order to do them.
Yeah.
But that's a good start.
Okay.
Right? Because at least you have complete control at that point as to how you're going to use your hands, how you're going to use your grips and when. So that would be the first thing. The second thing I would tell someone in your situation is, and this is a bit of maybe I'll get a little bit of a vent about this, but the one thing I hate.
Do it. Let's hear the vent.
One thing I hate is when I hear someone tell a white belt, being a white belt is all about survival. And it's like, okay. And then what? Because here's the thing. Nobody ever teaches white belts how to survive. Have you been taught at all about proper defensive postures, for example? Like general concepts of defense. If not, then start there. And put yourself deliberately in certain positions and see how long you can survive and defend the attacks. And then in your defense, you should be able to find opportunities for escapes. Because like I tell my students, all attacks and all escapes happen in the transitions. That's where the gaps are. Okay? That's where the opportunities lie, in the transitions themselves. So, for example, if I tell a white belt, I might give them one thing to focus on. I'll be like, look, dude, the space between your elbow all the way to the armpit and down to the ribs, all of that is inside control. I'm looking to dominate that. Don't let me there. That's prime real estate. Keep those elbows in. And if you're going to extend away from your body, make sure you're doing it on your terms and you know why you're doing it. So protect inside position, right? I'm trying to get inside control. You're trying to keep me out of there. So I would start them in a very specific position, maybe they're mounted or whatever. It's like, okay, now work from there. Don't let me get underneath your elbows. And then try to get to half guard. And then see what happens, right? And then we would just keep working that same position. A lot of positional sparring. Give them a very specific goal or a task. See if they can get there, and then guide them accordingly so that they meet the goal. And then start over. Once you meet the goal, okay, we got to go back to the beginning. Boom. And we go there again. So as a white belt, I would say you got to learn defense, man. And instead of just giving lip service to it and say, well, I'm just going to see if I can survive. Well, nope. That doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to survive, right?
Right.
And so the third thing I would say is it's totally okay to pick your partners. At our age, man, you have to be very careful on who you roll with, who you train with, and you have to be okay with telling somebody straight up, hey, man, look, I'm taking the round off, or no, I don't really feel like rolling right now. That's fine. And if they have a problem with it, well, that's actually on them. That's not on you, I tell people all the time, I don't want to roll, and if I don't want to roll with somebody for whatever reasons, I'll just politely say, oh man, no thanks. I'm just sitting this one out. And sometimes they'll get the clue when they see me rolling with somebody else just after I told them no,
Or if you say no to them a lot of times. in a row.
Yeah, if I say no to them a lot of times, and again, if they get their feelings hurt over it, well, that's not my problem.
Right.
That's another mindset shift. It's like I don't really care how you feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to take care of me.
Right.
You know, and I have to be mindful enough to take care of my partner. Right. So it's a two-way road. I'm just doing my part.
Yeah.
You know, now if I was 25 years old and I was like full of piss and vinegar and I had no injuries or whatever, then I really wouldn't give a damn who I rolled with, you know?
Right.
But I would say the third piece of that is being very selective on who you roll with. Mm-hmm. And it's totally okay to just, you know, I think I heard Pedro Sauer once say, like, your jiu-jitsu should be playful, but with poison.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so I'm always trying to tell my students, look, keep your jiu-jitsu playful. It can still be meaningful and you can still challenge each other and everything. But if you are so exhausted after one round, and this is something my coach told me recently, he says, then you're not training, you're fighting. Mm-hmm. And it's either you're the one bringing the heat or your partner is the one bringing the heat and you don't really want it, but you're forced to escalate. And now you're dead tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to navigate these environments pretty carefully, I think, if you don't want to hurt people's feelings or you don't want to come across as a jerk or something. I think there's ways to communicate to your training partners, you know, what the expectations should be.
Yeah.
Like right now, I have a hernia. I have a hernia.
Oh, damn.
I have probably an adhesion in my lower abdominal area from an old surgery, and I'm just now recovering from some muscular. I don't know what the hell it is. I say a neck issue, but it's not. It's not spinal. It's all muscular. You know.
Okay.
So yeah, right now I'm being very cautious of who I roll with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple things there. You just said that. I mean, you've been training jiu-jitsu you started in 2004, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have 20 years of experience training jiu-jitsu, and what your coach just told you. It's just interesting how much there always is still to learn about this sport, right? It doesn't matter how long you do it. And I've mentioned this in a podcast before, but I mean, my instructor is Jiva Santana, known as the Arm Collector, and he, you know Jiva? You've heard of him?
Yeah, Lotus Jiu-Jitsu, Lotus Club.
Yeah. Oh, is that? I've never heard of that.
I met him one time. I met him one time in Dallas. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the guys I trained under was under him for a little while.
Okay.
At that time, so yeah, he used to be with Lotus Club at one time, many years ago. I don't think he is now, but I know who he is. Absolutely.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
He's the man. If you're listening, shout out Jiva. He's the nicest guy, and he's a great instructor. But he was known as the Arm Collector because he won so many MMA fights by armbar. And just recently, maybe a couple months ago, he was talking about how he's still trying to make his armbar better. And it's like, somebody like that, it's like, how could it ever get better? You're the armbar guy. And he's like, I mean, it's just... And then I heard, it was very, very refreshing to hear a purple belt, I think just a couple weeks ago when I was training, ask a question that, when I heard him ask it, I'm just thinking, oh, man, you're a purple belt and you're asking that question. But it was something about, passing somebody's guard and, when the instructor answered it, it was just like, it just struck me. It's like, oh, man, you can be a purple belt. It's refreshing to know that if I'm ever a purple belt, I can still ask questions like that. And I still can learn those little fine details, and it just, whenever a higher belt asks a question like that, or I hear someone like you make the statement you made, it's like, just reminds me. It's like no matter how far I get, there will be still so much to learn. And it doesn't matter that like what you just said, okay, when you said your coach told you that, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm exhausted after every time. So I've been doing it all wrong. And it's like, no, no matter what, there's still more to learn. Right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, I've probably had my biggest leaps in terms of growth in this sport in the past 3 years, honestly.
Wow. Because of consistency, right?
Consistency, but also exposure to new ideas.
I see.
Which is a big one. Or kind of taking things that other people have said and then having this epiphany moment where it's like, wait a second, I can apply that to jiu-jitsu or whatever, you know?
Right.
So, yes, I've definitely had more aha moments, you know, in recent years than I ever have in previous years. Yeah. So, you know, one of my aha moments in recent years, and this is not even my thing, I just got it from a podcast I listened to, and it made a lot of sense to me. And it was the idea that all grappling is just a battle of alignment. So that an alignment is made up of three things: posture, structure, and base. And if you can maintain your own alignment, then you attempt to break your opponent's alignment. But but you can't do step number 2 until you've maintained your own first, right? So it's like posture would be basically defined as the alignment of your head, neck, and spine in relation to your hips. Right? So spinal integrity. Is my head being twisted or bent? Is my spine being manipulated in ways that completely sacrifice integrity, right? And meaning that I'm weak now. Structure would be the effective use of my arms and legs. So like maybe I'm framing or something, you know, maybe from a knee shield half guard, if I'm doing it correctly, my knee shield would be part of my structure. And then base would be your ability to absorb or apply force based on whatever outcome you're looking to do. So base doesn't just have to be me in the guard with my knees wide and everything. I mean, that's base, of course, but I could have base if I'm lying on my side. Or if someone's mounted on top of me, if I still have base, if you've done nothing to take my spine out of alignment, if you've done nothing to take my frames off your hips or anything, I still have base because I can still bridge, right? I can apply force. So when I started thinking a little more conceptually about this, it made things way easier as a practitioner, but also as a coach, because then I could kind of break things down a little bit differently or kind of communicate an idea differently so that people could get the big picture idea as opposed to getting caught up into the minutia of the little details of whatever. I mean, there's a time and place for that, and that helps tighten things up. But I think if I can get somebody thinking more conceptually at first, it helps a lot. So that was a big one for me. And I got that from, I can't remember their names, but there's a great podcast that I listen to. It's called BJJ Mental Models. And it's one I recommend every jiu-jitsu practitioner to listen to. It's probably, in my opinion, it's probably the best one out there for coaches and for practitioners, because it really opens your mind to new ideas about how you approach training, how you approach
learning.
You mean
aside from rolling over 40, right?
Oh yeah. Aside from rolling over 40, exactly. Right, number two.
Number 2, right? Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes without saying. But BJJ Mental Models, is that what you said it was called? Never heard of it actually. I don't actually listen to many podcasts or anything like that. Just I mean, I don't know why. I've told somebody this before, but it's just like sometimes I do, but it's very rare. Partly because I'm having a great time doing this sport. I'm having a great time learning it, all this stuff. But I'm the type of person that can ruminate too much. And let's say I listen to a podcast and I hear something, I'm going to nonstop ruminate on that. And then it's going to get to the point where it sticks in my head all day. And I'll just be like, oh my God. I don't know. It'll stress me out too much. That's why it's like BJJ to me, it's like, you know, what happens that on the mat stays on the mat. I walk out the door. It's probably hindering my progress, to be honest with you. But it's just like I think about it so often anyway. Sometimes I'm like, I don't need more to dwell on. There's already so many details. It's like whether I'm thinking of it as an overview or alignment, this and that. It's like, man. So I probably should.
It all comes down to, I think, well, what really truly motivates you. right? And you're probably perfectly motivated, so there's no need for that other stuff. In all honesty,
I don't know. And if I was in my 20s, it'd be a whole different story. But one thing I am curious about is, and one thing that stuck out to me when we met is that you were, I think my dad asked you, he was like, "Yeah, you do a lot of weightlifting," and you were like, and you talked about, you were like, "I only want to build strength if it is functional, if it has an actual purpose to the strength." Something about that, and that stuck out to me. And then that, when you were talking about either jiu-jitsu or something back then, you mentioned something similar, and it's like, so one thing I'm curious about is, and I think you'd have a great perspective on this, is, of all the martial arts out there's Muay Thai, there's jiu-jitsu, and you teach a lot of private classes, which I think is interesting. Do people come to you and they say things like, "I want to learn jiu-jitsu for self-defense," or do they say, "I want to learn Muay Thai for self-defense," or do you kind of have, are all your students like across the board, like for competition, for self-defense, for just fun?
I don't have anybody who comes to me for competition.
I see.
They're either coming to me for self-defense only.
Okay.
Right. And so they're looking for something more well-rounded.
Yeah.
Or they're coming to me because they just want to learn Muay Thai as a style.
Okay.
Right. It is what it is. Or they just want to learn jiu-jitsu. And they want to learn all of it. They want to learn the self-defense aspect of it. They want to learn the sportive aspect of it. They just want to learn it.
Okay.
They fall under one of those three categories.
And so if somebody comes to you and says, "I want to learn jiu-jitsu for self-defense," versus somebody who comes to you and says, "I want to learn jiu-jitsu for fun, purely for fun," do you have a different approach?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. It's because I haven't had anybody come to me purely with that specific thing. I want to learn jiu-jitsu for self-defense. But I have had people say, "I want to learn how to defend myself." So that I will show them elements of jiu-jitsu. I'll show them elements of Muay Thai. I'll show them elements of how to use like tools, like, for example, how to use a pen as a pain compliance tool or whatever, and how to incorporate that into their grappling, into their stand-up, into whatever. And part of that self-defense thing is also mindset, like de-escalation tactics, how to communicate, how to read like body language, pre-fight cues. Is someone looking around? Are they self-grooming a lot right before they do something? Just kind of being in kind of what state of awareness they should be operating in, how to identify their threat profile, and what does their threat profile mean. So self-defense encompasses a lot beyond just the physical.
Now, what makes you... Sorry. But, yeah, this is just... Because that's the super interesting part of this whole sport is the self-defense aspect of it, right?
Right.
But, like, you've studied a lot of Muay Thai, you've studied a lot of jiu-jitsu, and when it comes to stuff like that, like the mental aspect or that, what you just mentioned, a lot of self-grooming, like where... like, what makes you knowledgeable about things like that, like self-grooming before they look, like pre-fight, cues? Like, what makes you someone who knows about that kind of thing?
Probably it's just like a mix of stuff. One, I've been fortunate to be mentored and taught by a diverse array of individuals.
Okay, people
who were like club doormen, people who were in the military and special ops, or in the like Navy SEALs, or people who had just a diverse martial arts background, people who were great competitive fighters. Also having been in questionable places as when I had a band, we spent a lot of time in like deep element, people always coming up on us and stuff, and always being aware of how people act and their mannerisms and how they position their feet, and having been in dumb altercations also, unfortunately. Haven't been in a lot of them, but I've been in enough to like reflect on them and be like, man, what happened there? So a lot of it is kind of a mix of personal, experienced, and being guided and taught by the experiences of other people who were experts in their fields, and then continuing my own research on stuff. It's kind of morbid, but I also watch a lot of CC television of like really violent altercations,
Okay.
like people getting stabbed, people being held up at ATMs. I people watch a lot, because I once upon a time I was really really into like learning about human behavior, like body language things when people start blading their body, for example. Are they trying to hide something on the side that they have furthest away from you? Are they hiding their hand? How are they walking? Is their arm really stiff? Do they have something hidden under their sleeve? It sounds like paranoia, but it's just observing my world around me
Hmm. Hmm.
and drawing from either personal experiences as well as just like things I've been taught. Now, granted, the side of this whole thing that is hardest to teach or to get people to understand is people who've never seen real violence. They don't know that they're just not going to know what that adrenaline is like and the state of fear that they're going to be in, and
Right.
they don't even really know how they're going to react. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who have experienced real violence, even just from a domestic standpoint, which I have seen a lot of that crap, unfortunately, when I was younger. Um, and so a lot of that feeling and a lot of that anxiety and fear and adrenaline is comes from just having felt it firsthand,
Hmm.
you know, having seen it firsthand.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's kind of where I draw a lot of my stuff from. It's kind of a mix of personal, being taught by others who are great in their fields, and continuing researching and studying, and then just being a people watcher. Honestly, I mean that you can learn a lot just by observing the world around you.
So what like would be some of the top telltale signs then? Like if you're in public somewhere, if you could, narrow it down to like a top two or three things that are really telltale signs that somebody might be trying to start an altercation or maybe get violent. Like what is it that you're or somebody could look for?
Well, I mean, there's a whole host of things, but probably one thing that would make me nervous, and I'll give you a really good example of one, is there was a gentleman at a Starbucks, and this was probably about 7 years ago. I was still living in Texas, and I was with my wife, and there was a guy who was kind of fidgety and kind of looking around constantly, and he just could not stand still. And he was like a lot of it is a term, a lot of self grooming stuff, like he was
Mm.
touching his pockets, and he was just kind of looking. And then he started kind of escalating. Uh, it's not that he was cussing, but he started getting a little bit more aggressive in what he was saying to the cashier at Starbucks of all damn places.
Hmm.
So immediately I moved my wife. I put
Yep.
myself
Yep.
between him and my wife because we were next in line, right?
Oh, you were next in line. You weren't just like sitting at a table. You
No,
were
no,
like,
no. It was just
okay.
like I was just one time talking with my wife, and then happened to notice he was just kind of moving a little bit too much and being fidgety and kind of looking around and stuff. And so I backed up and I moved my wife back, and I just kept my eye on because I had no idea what he was going to do, right? Well, he paid for his stuff. He was pretty rude to the gal at the register. And then I instructed my wife, I said, hey, do you mind paying for everything? So then once he went and sat down, I just had her pay it. And I stepped back a little bit and to the left, and I kept my eyes on him the entire time. So he went to go and sit down. And right when he sat down, he's like, so he's facing the entrance, right? And the rest of the room is to his left. And he's just like, I mean, he just looks like something was not right with that dude, man. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so, even though nothing happened, that right there is like all the reason in the world to switch your mind into a different. You have to be in a different mindset. You have to now be ready for anything to happen at that particular time.
Right.
His behavior was not what I would call normal behavior, almost like schizophrenic kind of. You know, he had a lot of nervous energy. He had a lot of body twitching. He was kind of looking around a lot, that kind of stuff. Also, people hovering around and kind of looking around and just kind of meandering in an area. will set off alarm bells for me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some things you have to kind of. So there's some things I always tell people that even before all that stuff, it's like you really kind of have to examine your own life a little bit. So, for example, I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything that's gonna put me in a situation that is of high risk.
Right.
So, for example, I'm not a bartender in downtown Fort Worth who gets off at 3 a.m, who parks 3 blocks away or whatever. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of, like, what do you do for a living? Where do you work? What do you do for entertainment? What's the circle of people that you keep with you in your presence when you're out and about? Do you have friends who are hot-headed, numbskulls, who can get you in trouble? That kind of thing. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to assess take some inventory of your own life, and then assess, okay, well, really, what does my threat profile look like compared to my buddy who has a higher risk job or works in a higher risk part of town? His threat profile is going to be different than mine. But that doesn't mean I have my head in the clouds either. So I just kind of have to I always kind of, and don't do weird stuff too. Like I always tell people, don't like be ultra friendly and smile like to random strangers if you're in a part of town where that's not normal behavior. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of have to learn to just kind of become a chameleon a little bit, and just don't bring attention to yourself, but keep your head on a swivel enough to where you can notice what's happening.
Right. Okay.
That's kind of a long answer to what you.
No, it's okay.
What you asked,
I'm curious. So in your so a couple of things about the private classes, because I haven't had one yet, but I mean I'd love to be able to afford some private classes, because it's like there's so many little details of jiu-jitsu that I wish I could just work on that one stupid thing over and over and over and over again, right? Like positional sparring you mentioned too. We do that a lot in my gym, and that's probably my favorite thing to do is positional sparring, because it's like I'm rolling with higher belts probably most of the time because of the specific classes that I attend, which I think is great. But it's like, and I do what I can, but it's like it's not like I'm going to, with most of them, it's not like I'm going to get anywhere with them, right? I mean, I don't mean in terms of my growth and my ability to learn stuff, sure, and depending on which black belt or brown belt or purple belt I'm rolling with, it's like I'm always learning something, no question about it. But I do absolutely love the positional sparring, and the variety of people I get to roll with is fun. So that's why part of me is like with private classes, it's like I feel like, if that's all a person's doing, is it me, or can they only get so far because it's like just you and one other person the whole time? Or do you feel like, that part doesn't matter as much, like you and one person, you can get them pretty far in their game?
I think you need both. I think you need private and you need group classes, man. So I had a private client for a while, and he still comes to group classes. He's just taking a break, but I had him for a while. He's a white belt. Started with me as a white belt, and he did 2 classes a week plus 1 class a week with me privately, and I kind of just stepped back for a second. I'm like, I looked at his body type and what his natural attributes were, and then tried to reflect on some of the other rounds that he was doing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to teach this guy how to triangle choke the mess out of everybody in class.
Okay.
Because he needs some wins.
Okay.
Because confidence was a thing, I think, for him in the beginning, right? I wanted to get him some wins, but I knew that if I taught him how to properly start setting up a system of triangle chokes, that there were other things within that framework that he was going to get good at. He was going to get good at guard retention. He was going to get good at making the proper grips. He was going to get good at looking for opportunities for sweeps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because of how I went about teaching him the triangle choke. So for him, the closed guard, honestly, wasn't even where I started. I personally don't see the closed guard as a basic guard. I don't think that's a basic fundamental guard.
Why not?
Because from an open guard, I can get to any guard easily. From a closed system, like a closed guard, I can't get to any other guard quite as easy. It's not like I can get to half guard easily from close guard.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you do, you got to open your guard, but you're in danger, right?
Yeah.
So I see close guard is actually more intermediate or advanced. I think close guard and some regards can be an advanced guard.
I see.
You mean
like the person playing close guard, like the person on the
person
bottom.
Playing close guard, I think I believe it to be a little bit even more sophisticated than the other guards.
Just because it's hard to get to, you mean?
It's hard to control somebody from that position in some respect.
Okay.
If you're going to do an attack, you have to open your guard.
Right.
So what are you going to do, right, to maintain control of this individual while you're opening your guard, right?
Yeah.
And you're not, since I can't get to other guards as easily, then I have to really make sure I have my points of contact in check and kind of a system in play as to what I'm going to go for, right? From the close guard. Now, if I start in an open guarded position, I can go into lasso guard. If we're talking gi, I can go into lasso guard. I can go into single leg X. I can go to X guard. I can go to half guard. I can go to spider guard. I can get to almost any guard easily. I can go back to close guard if I want from open guard. Mm-hmm. So I tend to teach people open guarded concepts first.
I see.
As the foundational starting point. And so that's what I did with this guy. And then what happens? It didn't take him long. He started subbing damn near everybody in class. He started subbing all the white belts. I said, just start at the white belts. See how many white belts you can get. And then when you feel like you're dominating them, work your way up to the blue belts. Start dominating the blue belts. And then when you feel like you're comfortable there, start trying your moves on the purple belts.
And you mean specifically with the triangle?
Yep. I said, just get good at that one thing.
Interesting. So you would, that's what you, is that your advice in general then? Try to get super, super, super good at one specific thing rather than, I'm good enough at that for now. Let me just try some other stuff for now. What would you say?
Yeah, it really depends on the person and what their motivations and goals are. But yeah, man, I'm like, one of my best friends, he's a 3rd degree black belt, and I already know what he's going to do. He has the same game every time. Every time we roll, he doesn't do anything different. And you know what? I can't stop it. It's like he's done it so often, and he's done those sequence of moves so many times. Now I can kind of stop it now because I know what's happening. But then he's got some other little thing in his bag of tricks,
But he starts there, kind of like.
But his fundamental game, starts from knee shield half guard. And he's got a whole dang system of stuff he does, and then he likes deep half, so he can go from knee shield to deep half, and then it's like, man, I know what he's doing. So it's not a matter of It's not a matter of should you be doing something and getting really good at this one thing. It's a matter of, okay, if you get really good at this one thing, can anybody stop it?
Wow. Good quote right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so, but here's the thing. As you get good at the one thing, it's not like you're not going to get good at anything else.
Sure.
It doesn't work that way.
Sure.
Because there's other things along the way that you're going to have to get good at in order to obtain the main objective, whatever that is. If Kimuras is your thing, right?
Right.
There's a whole system based on the Kimura trap. You could take people's backs from there. You can sweep from Kimura. You can do anything from Kimura. Is another great maneuver, not just for submissions, but for setting up a myriad of host of other things.
Right.
So I wouldn't get so hung up on, should I get good at this one thing? I would ask yourself, well, do you enjoy doing that one thing?
Oh, yeah.
If the answer is yeah, then why not go all in? And then there you go.
It's like what you said about wins, It's like you were saying that student of yours, this guy needs some wins. And it's like, I felt like it took me forever because I started with a kind of a cohort of dads who started around the same time as me, a little bit before. And I just always felt like it took so long. Like if you listen to any early episodes of this podcast, like earlier this year, it's like I literally could count on probably one hand the number of times I submitted anybody, and that was like after well over a year of training. And I was embarrassed because a lot of these other dads, dudes I started with, were like pretty proficient at some of the submissions already. Maybe they trained a little more frequently than me, but still. But I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, finally, it's like getting some wins. It's a good feeling. So like, and it's from half guard almost every time, by the way, the Kimura from half guard. I don't know why. It just,
Hey, it's a great spot to get the Kimura. And here's the thing. So like talking about that position, if you can imagine, let's say I'm in half guard and I snag that arm.
yeah.
And I'm going to do, and then you know how people always hide it? They grab the back of their thigh and it's tucked in there and you're pulling.
Yeah.
So one of my students was like, what do I do here? I can't pull it out because they're hugging with their hand the inside of the thigh.
Right.
And so I was thinking about it, and another guy was like, well, I usually just do this. I abandon half guard and I spin around and I take their back. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you can do that. I wouldn't do that. I can't move like that. I'm almost 50, man. I ain't going to do that. So I said, you know what? Let me think about this because I think there's a better solution to your dilemma. So I thought about it all night. I was like, I know there's an easier way to get that Kimura out after someone had tucks the hand behind their thigh. So I was like, I think I got it. I'm going to experiment with it. So the next day, I grabbed a couple of guys that were kind of strong, and I said, hey, I'm going to get the Kimura from this half guard position. I want you to tuck your hand to the inside of your thigh. Don't let me pull it out.
Yeah.
Whatever you do. And they're all, okay. So I put myself in that position. I'm pulling. And all of a sudden, after I pull, I pushed their hand back into their crotch, and then I pulled it out.
Oh, so push and then pull.
I gave their hand back to their center, basically taking the hand off of their thigh. And then I just pulled it straight back up, and they had no grip on the thigh. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it was a push-pull, not just a pull. So
right.
I said, I think that would work. So I told him, I said, why don't you try this and see what happens? Sure enough, he's like, holy crap, man, that worked. I got it on so-and-so. He always counters it. I was like, well, it's not, we still got to test it.
Right.
And so he kept testing, and that still was his go-to move. He said, dude, it works almost every time now. I can just shove the hand back to their center, pull it straight up, and there it is.
I'm going to try that tonight. Good thing this episode isn't being released yet, so nobody knows what I'm going to do tonight.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm always thinking about things in that way because jiu-jitsu is such a wonderful, like, dynamic problem-solving environment.
Yes.
It's where you're constantly put into these predicaments.
Right.
And not one person moves the same, not one person counters everything the same. Everybody does something different. And I think that's what's exciting about it all, really.
I totally agree, and I'm so glad that I started. I'm so glad I started doing this sport because of all those reasons you just said. So, and I'm curious though, like regarding from a self-defense standpoint, if when somebody comes to you and they want to learn some self-defense, like what are the I don't even know if this question makes perfect sense to you, but I mean, what would you say? What would you outline? Regarding the jiu-jitsu components to that, what would be some of the key jiu-jitsu components from a strictly self-defense standpoint?
I would probably say the first thing I would help people understand is how to manage distance.
Mm-hmm.
And so that way they understood fundamentally, like, what are you trying to do exactly? Because not everybody understands. Okay, everybody understands getting away from danger. Right. And so, and using your hands in a manner that's non-threatening, but also kind of creating a buffer. So like in the non-jiu-jitsu kind of circles, when you put your hands up like this and it's more non-threatening, they call this the fence, right? You're putting up a fence, like a barrier, right? You're not putting your dukes up, but knowing how to use your arms and footwork to maintain distance to keep you out of danger if you can. And then there's the understanding, okay, well, what happens if you're kind of in the sweet spot where you're not really close, but you're close enough? Now, I call this like the danger zone.
Sure.
You can get hit, basically. We'll keep it in simple terms. Well, then the opposite of being far can also be good, depending on if the person is armed with something or whatever. But we'll just say that they're unarmed, and it's just a single aggressive individual. Well, if being really far is very safe, I would argue that if you know jiu-jitsu, being very close is also very safe.
Uh-huh.
Because
Yeah.
they can't generate enough force to hit you or knock you out
Right.
if you're on top of them. And so then you have that, well, how do you close the distance? And that's where it comes into that classic Gracie thing of closing the distance and getting into the clinch. I think that is very old school and very practical,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Closing the distance, getting the
Closing the
clinch.
distance and really understanding how to maintain control of somebody's body, stay protected and everything, protecting that far side arm, and if need be, take it to the ground, or maintain enough control of them to where you can pin them up against the wall. The wall is just the floor, just vertical,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, granted, they have their feet; they can still move and all of that stuff. They have base, for lack of a better term, they have base and they can still maneuver. But at least I've got them pinned on something, so I can still use general concepts of pinning to some degree in a standing scenario when I've got them up against something,
Right.
right? And I think I would start there first, and then you kind of can work through potential scenarios that they may encounter, and then how jiu-jitsu applies in those specific scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I very seldom teach anybody just pure jiu-jitsu for self-defense. I always kind of mix in my other backgrounds in there,
Right.
because I think it's the most effective. I teach them certain concepts from Kung Fu Sansu, Muay Thai, especially like a lot of the close-in elbow strikes and stuff. I teach a lot of gross motor movements, like, for example, very traditional, we'll say let's say like a block in karate, for example. Well, this is not a block, it's a strike, right? So I get them out of the frame, out of the mindset of thinking, oh, this is just a block. These are just block. No, these are devastating strikes,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's one gross motor move that can go to the limb or to the head or to the jaw or wherever. It's just one motion.
Right.
It's just where you're intending to hit them, and for what intended purpose, right?
Yeah.
So we can really get into the weeds on that, because that whole self-defense thing is it is a deep area of discussion. But I just always come from the framework of, okay, if we're going to teach you jiu-jitsu has got a lot of primarily ground fighting concepts, but there's a lot of stand-up stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
How to get behind somebody, how to throw them, how to, basic stuff to teach them, if anything, how the biomechanics of the human body. Like, is someone going to bear hug you from the front? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe so. But let's talk about that. This is how you use jiu-jitsu for it. Is someone going to grab you from a bear hug from behind? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But you know what? Let's show you how jiu-jitsu works here, because there's other lessons within that specific scenario that teach you about the mechanics of how the human body operates in order to get a throw or whatever. So there's much deeper lessons within very specific scenarios that I think I try to help them understand, so they can come away with those general ideas.
Right. One of the things I was concerned about with interviewing you, the only person so far that I've been worried about was that there's too much here for one podcast episode. It's just that we could go down so many rabbit holes with regard to self-defense or sweeps or passes or Muay Thai and everything. So anyway, with that in mind, let's move to the lightning round. And some of the things you just talked about got some questions in my mind anyway. So one would be, what would you say regarding self-defense and pulling guard?
I would say that in some cases, I would say it's needed. Depends on the circumstances and the context. I pulled guard in a club fight.
No kidding.
And oh yeah. Do you want to hear the story?
Yeah.
I know it's lightning round, but
Too bad.
so
it's okay. If you got time, let's do it.
It was my fault. I was at fault. I was an idiot. I was inebriated, just enough to be a jerk. I was at a club. I was talking with a group of friends. This guy comes up from the right, starts yammering on, I don't know what he was talking about. And I pushed him like this to the side. I said, get the F out of here, man. This ain't your, these aren't your friends. And when I did that, I started talking to my other friend, and sure enough, this dude sucker punched me from the side and broke my nose.
Damn.
And that woke me up fast. So I looked over at him. I remember looking at him. I clenched him up, and I started hitting him with knees. Now, this is my first lesson about knees that I learned from a real life scenario. I'm hitting him with knees, but there were so many people and so much commotion that because I was on one leg, we both fell to the ground.
You on your back?
I was on my back. So I had no option but to pull guard.
Uh-huh.
So I pulled guard, I tied up one of his arms, and I started hitting him with elbows on the top of his head. However, I didn't know that he was a bouncer.
Oh, God.
So 5 or 6 other bouncers like rushed in and they were just curb stomping me, dude. Like bad. I mean, so I did anything I knew how to do. I used jiu-jitsu. I covered up. I used him as a shield. I just covered up as tight as I could. And that's all I remember doing, grabbing a hold of him and just covering up tight. Well, I didn't realize this until afterwards, that my other friends who also trained jumped in and beat the dog snot out of most of those dudes.
Oh, my God.
One of my buddies picks me up. I'm a bloody mess. He rushes me out of the club. I don't know how he did it, but he rushed me right past like a whole group of cops. And then took me out to the parking lot, reset my nose, slapped me in the face, threw me in the car, and took me home. That's all I remember. Yeah. So,
wow.
There's a lot of lessons I learned that night. So anyways, I pulled guard.
That is a great answer to the first lightning round question. Man, like I said, too much for one episode here, but great story. Okay. Is there a BJJ rule you would change if you could?
A BJJ rule that I would change if I could. I don't know if this is a rule. Like, what do you mean, like in tournaments, or just kind of like like something that's been culturally accepted?
Sure.
As
whatever's in your head right now.
I think the 10-year thing to black belt is complete nonsense. I think it's bullshit.
You mean you think it should just be based more on competency?
I think it should be based on competency. It's like, dude, are you a purple belt smashing black belts?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, now
I'm not.
Granted,
so you know.
What's that?
I'm not. Not me.
Yeah. So I think there's more to it than just competency, and I think if someone is demonstrating the qualities of what I would feel or what another black belt feels is the characteristics of a good black belt beyond competency, then why not? If it happens in 7 years and they legitimately deserve it, then dude, give it to them in 7 years. If it happens in 8, give them to it as 8. But I think this whole time-based ranking thing is a little absurd, and I don't think that's happening quite as much these days. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, but yeah. So that's one thing I would probably encourage to be changed.
I see. What gi or no gi? Which do you prefer and why?
I prefer gi because I can slow things down because I'm lazy. And if I go against a much faster, younger person, I'm pretty good at slowing things down to a pace that I like. I'm not saying it's easy by any means. One of my training partners is a very good purple belt. His name is Isaac Fox, and he's very tough to deal with. So if I'm in a gi, man, I'm going to grab that sucker and I'm going to try to slow things down as much as I can. That's why I like the gi.
Favorite submission to hit?
Paper cutter because I'm a top side player, top side and knee on belly, but I typically use knee on belly to just cook the guy a little bit. Then I'll go to top side, and I'll start hunting the paper cutter.
Mm-hmm. If someone came to you, which they often do, and looking for your services, and they said to you, "Okay, Blas, I want to learn one martial art, but I don't want to learn any others at all. I only want to learn one for self-defense between Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, kung fu, Sao Dao, or whatever you called it. I didn't know what that word was.
Oh, Kung Fu San Tzu.
Yeah, Sun Tzu. What would you say and why?
I would probably ask them why, because I want to try to meet them where they're at. And then I would probably follow it up with, you know what, I completely understand why you might say that. But you know what, if you're open to it, I sure would like to share some other ideas with you that would make you a much more adaptable and well-rounded martial artist. And I would go from there.
Mm-hmm. And let's say I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm looking around. I'm curious. I'm interested. I'm looking for a private instructor for martial arts, self-defense, etc. Why should I go with you over other instructors?
Gosh, I have no idea other than I'll just tell, honestly, if someone asked me that, I'd be like, man, you know what? I'll tell you what, ask everybody in this community about me, because you're going to find people who know me, and just see what they say. Go from there. You know, I'll usually give people their first lesson free. And I said, because don't take my word for it. You know, I can tell you everything. I can tell everything you want to hear. But I would say, I'm not sure that you should go with me. You haven't even trained with me yet. I'll give you a couple lessons free. Let's see how you like it. Oh, and by the way, ask anybody that you want about me and about my credentials, and, you know, make your own decisions. That's how I would approach that.
Oh, that's a great answer, man.
I don't think I need anybody's, you know, I'm not dying for Federal Reserve notes here. You know what I mean? I believe in integrity and trying to do the right thing. And I will say, if I'm not the right fit for somebody, I'll just tell them flat out. I was like, man, I can't teach you that. That's not my expertise or whatever. But I do have a whole list of guys that I think would be great for you. I've had to do that a couple times. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, Blas, this has been great, dude. This is it's been one of my favorite episodes for sure. So
awesome.
Thanks for doing this. Honestly, when I first even started thinking of it, it's been about a year. I started thinking about doing this about a year ago, and I'm thinking about all the people that I know and possibly know and peripherally know, and your name popped up in my head. I'm like, oh, that's right, that guy that I met at Rhino's wedding all those years ago. You know, I was thinking to myself, it'd be cool if someday I could interview that guy, and and here we are. So I'm glad we made it happen, man. Thank you so much for helping make this happen.
Absolutely, anytime. If you want to have me on again, I'd be more than happy to. Anytime.